Hi guys and welcome to my review of the Dell Latitude 14 E7450. Recently, not that long ago, I reviewed the 5000 series, absolutely loved it, and as a whole it was my most favorite laptop until then. That's why I decided to try the 7000 series and see if this will change and if the 7000 series can improve on the already great experience of the 5000. So let's take a closer look at it now and start off with the design and build quality. First off, the lid does flex a little bit, but less than a lot other devices on the market. The great thing about this lid though is the sturdy soft touch magnesium coating, because as you can see it doesn't scratch up. It feels very premium and nice. Yes, it does pick up a little bit of fingerprints, but they can be wiped away very easily. On the bottom we can see the plastic, and here is where it doesn't feel as great, because if you pick it up like this you can hear a squeaking a little bit, but I think it's a fair trade-off because after all you have a user replaceable battery and this should make up for a lot. We also have the port for the docking mechanism. One thing that I don't like so much also is we have hard plastic bottom feet, because usually we have soft touch, and as you can see here, it doesn't really prevent it from sliding as much as rubber feet would do, but still nice after all. Here we have the port for the ventilation, full-size SD card slot, and an SD card reader. On the front there's nothing, but here we have the stereo front bottom facing stereo speakers. Here we have the combined headphone jack, USB 3.0, CAN lock. On the back is where all the ports are. Here we have the Gigabit Ethernet, mini display port, USB 3.0, USB 3.0 with always on, full-size HDMI, and the dock for the charging. If we open the device, we also have a fingerprint reader right here. As for the build and design and everything else, we have a nice amount of ports, really everything you should want to have. Great layout, because if you use it as a desktop replacement, it's nice to have all the ports going to the back. Let's open it, and yes, it can be opened with one hand, which is really nice and something I always like to see. As for the keyboard, I really like the keyboards of the Latitude series for a few reasons, because we have a really nice amount of travel, definitely fine enough, but the great thing is the nice softly dampened feel of it, because this makes it feel so soft and also quite a nice and quiet experience. As you can hear, no clicky sounds at all. This has been nice. Also 2-level backlight, which is almost too bright in some certain situations, but still very good. The layout is good. We don't have any media buttons, but since it's a business device, this is understandable. But it's really nice to type on it. Great layout, great feel. The only thing that I have to complain a little bit about is sometimes it starts to squeal a little bit. The buttons just start to squeal, so I'm not so sure about the long-term durability, because it's a quite old loaner and maybe therefore it has this, but if you use the device for a longer period of time, this shouldn't quite happen. As for the trackpad, it is very precise. Multi-finger gestures get recognized very well, no problems here at all. It does have a little bit too much friction for my liking personally, but the rest is fine. The size is okay. The buttons here also very well done. They feel nice, they are good. Also we have here this pointer that works with these 3 buttons as well. So all this has been done really good, no problems here at all, very well done. Keyboard is amongst the very best, very close to the ThinkPad series. And apart from the friction, this is also one of the best Windows trackpads I've seen so far. So absolutely nice. Let's check the display. We have a 1080p display, 14 inches, so the resolution is absolutely fine. Everything is still sharp, no problems here at all. Also no scaling issues, which is really nice. The maximum brightness is fine, should be good enough for auto use, and since we have an anti-matte coating, it's also okay, but therefore we also have a little bit of a crystallized pattern that was a little bit more obvious than on the 5000 series. At least that's what I think to see. The white point is absolutely nice, slightly maybe on the colder side, but that's what I prefer anyways. The black, very deep, only a little bit of light leakage here, also very fine. The colors are very vivid and vibrant, also very accurate, nice contrast ratio, so especially for videos this has been done really well, and it's way more than a business device just because of that, because the colors just pop. Yes, they aren't as sharp and contrasty as maybe on glare panel, but for a matte panel they do a really great job. As for the viewing angles, as you can see here as well, very stable. I had no issues at all. And if you check the lowest brightness level, maybe not super low, but it should be good enough. That's it for the display. I really like it, but I'm not quite blown away. I would wish for maybe a glare option as well, because that's just something I prefer. But the qualities itself of the display are absolutely well done, absolutely fine, but these days just not impressive. But the good thing is no problems with scaling or any sorts of that, so at least very smart. solution. Now let's check the sound. My thoughts on the sound. The one thing that I don't like still, bottom facing stereo speakers, because I once used it on a carpet and then everything is blocked out, everything is very muffled, you lose a lot of volume. Otherwise, if you use it on a hard desk or hard surface like here, you can see nice amount of volume, also good amount of bass because of the reflection. Mids are also strong and the highs are very clear and less muffled than I usually know them from these bottom facing speakers. Still, that's the only issue. If you use it only on a desk or something like that, you should be very pleased with the sound. It was loud enough. I would maybe wish for a few percentage more reserves, because if you have lower audio in terms of volume as your source, it can be a little bit tight, but usually with normal average sound, it should be just fine. And it did a great job, way more than you would actually expect from a business device. So everything is fine here. In terms of performance, the SSD itself is something, at least the 128GB version, that I am not so happy, because read speed with 460 megabytes per second are very fine, but the write speeds just aren't really there where they should be. But I'm pretty sure that's a sloppy chip management on the 256GB. This issue shouldn't be there anymore. Otherwise, the performance with the i5-5300U absolutely fine. There's also an i7 version. No problems at all. 8GB of RAM that can be expanded up to 16GB should be great then for multitasking, and everything else felt very lightweight. I had already used it on Windows 10. Everything was very performant. You can do all you would expect to do from a business device. Also, video editing was no problem at all. Everything felt lightweight. The browsing in the browser was nice. The scrolling, everything there was really, really well done. But it's also not really outstanding. Pretty much every other device with similar specs will do the same, but it's doing also nothing wrong. As for the battery life, heat and noise, let's start off with the battery. The charging can be changed whatever you like in terms of the BIOS, because you have four different modes. You have standard, you have adaptive, you have quick charge, and you can change the amount you want to wait for. So you can get values from 2 hours to a full charge up to 3 hours, or even make something else. So you can find the sweet spot for you, and this puts maybe less stress on the battery if you want to use it for a longer period of time. As for the battery life itself, if you see the stats on the side here, you will see mostly 5 hours of use, but this was mostly using the device for half a charge a day. And then I think Windows has a little bit of trouble calculating it properly, because when I used it on one day, values of 6 hours should be way more what it's actually up to. So I would say 6 hours with a brightness of 60%. Of course, if you go lower and do more lightweight tasks, you should get even more. But at least from my experience, from my normal use, I would expect 5.5 solid to 6 and maybe even more hours of use, which is fine. As for the heat, it is reasonably warm. Sometimes in this hot environment right now, because I'm sweating a lot already, you can see it gets a little bit hot on the bottom, and typing on my lap at some points wasn't really possible anymore, but in most usual scenarios it was fine. Therefore, though, the noise of the fans is very, very good, because even right now a lot of devices already had the fan spinning in this temperatures. This device though stayed quiet pretty much all the time, no matter how hot it was, and only under load it got noisier. But even then, very subtle sound, and only on full volume of the fans it got a little bit noisy, but nothing that was really disturbing. And I've heard a lot more devices that were a lot louder under full load. So in terms of noise, they did a really good job here. As for the software, we are running, and let's just quickly check that, Windows 10 here, and I like it a lot because there are a lot of great things, like for example the snap feature, where you can easily do all this stuff, and you have great multitasking capabilities. And I really don't want to go any further into that because I did a Windows 10 review, so if you want to know a little bit more about Windows 10, just check that. But otherwise I was very happy with the software. The only minor issue that I had, maybe even a little bit more than minor, was an annoying thing that if you had a video playing in YouTube or in a media player, sometimes the screen flickered black, the video stopped playing, and then the browser or the media player just crashed. This happened quite often. already on 8.1 and also on 10. I'm pretty sure if you do a clean install, this can be fixed, but at least for my review period, it was quite a bit annoying. Otherwise, though, everything was fine. So we are at close to the end, so let's get to the recap. Design and build quality, really not much you can do better. It feels good. The only thing, like I said, the battery compartment here is where it doesn't feel maybe as solid and great as the 5000 series, but therefore it's definitely more lightweight, it's thinner, it's maybe not more compact, I think, but it does a great job, great amount of ports, but pretty much the same as the 5000 series. So pretty much the only advantage to the 5000 series is a little bit less weight and thickness. That's pretty much it. Therefore the 5000 series felt a little bit more substantial because it didn't have the user replaceable battery. The display though is a little bit better than on the 5000 series. Overall qualities were better, contrast ratios were better. It was a little bit nicer in terms of colors, but the anti-glare coating was a little bit more obvious, I think, on the 7000 series, but still a very good, just not super impressive display. Sound pretty much the same as on the 5000 series, very well, loud enough, and for a business device, way more than you would actually have to expect. Battery, or let's performance, the performance is pretty much on the same par as with the 5000 series. The only advantage I see on the 5000 series, we have the option of discrete graphics. Both have an i7, both have the same internals otherwise, but you have the advantage of maybe if you want more horsepower for video editing or so on, of the NVIDIA graphic cards, which you don't have here. Otherwise, battery life, almost the same. I think the 5000 series was a little bit better here, not maybe a lot, maybe by half an hour or so, but still comparable. Heat and noise was pretty much on the same level, nothing here to complain. And software, I didn't use it back then with Windows 10 because then maybe actually the values in terms of battery life would be the same. I didn't have the same conditions, Windows 8 and now Windows 10. But would I recommend it? So here's the thing. I am still super impressed by the 5000 series. And the only advantages I see here, it is lighter, has the slightly better screen, but therefore a little bit of annoyances, because there was also one thing that dust and like wet parts on the display were making like glowing pixels, which was a bit odd, and you have to always wipe it away. That was a little bit of an annoyance thing I didn't notice ever on the 5000 series. Otherwise the display, just in terms of qualities, is a little bit better. It is of course more lightweight and thinner, but the rest of the quality is pretty much the same. Battery, very, very comparable. Performance, pretty much the same without the option of the NVIDIA graphics. So all that's left to say is it is a very great device, and if you have it, you will definitely be satisfied, and you have the big maybe advantage of the user replaceable battery. But if you don't care so much about portability and all that, and you are okay with a device that is a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier, therefore feels a little bit more substantial, I would personally go for the 5000 series that I just liked a little bit more. But if you see it maybe a little bit more objective what you get, this could be the better device, but it is also, at least here, quite a bit more expensive. So the value is definitely better on the 5000 series, but if you want maybe the best of the best, this could be the one to go for. That's, I think, up for you to decide. Personally, my choice would be the 5000 series, just because in terms of value and the option of the NVIDIA graphics cards. That's it for my review of the Dell Latitude E7450. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me any comments if you have any questions or so. And please subscribe to my channel and reshare this video. Until next time, bye.